All right, we are now live from the Gazebo. I have my next guest, Mikell Simpson, former University of Virginia running back, Harrisburg Cougar running back, and now the founder and CEO of Capital Rebirth, the nonprofit. Thank you so much, Mikell, for stopping by, man.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on this platform, and give my spiel of what I got going on.
Yeah, so tell the people about the Capital Rebirth and a little bit about who you are if they're not familiar.
So myself, I'm a father, I'm a Harrisburg grad, like you said, went to University of Virginia, majored in anthropology, got my bachelor's degree there, came back home, worked as a TSS, helping kids in the school and in the community, transitioned from there to a substitute teacher in the school district for 3 years, and then working in a psychiatric hospital with kids who attempt to commit suicide. I love working with kids, and like I said, started my nonprofit, which began back in 2012 and took a little hiatus, and we're back and running now. Officially became a 501c3 2 years ago at this point. So during that time, the Capital Rebirth was established, was actually a turning point in my life. I had signed a contract with Cincinnati Bengals coming out of college, and during the physical that day, they found out I had spinal stenosis and bone spurs. So the same day I signed a contract, fulfilled a lifetime dream, millions of dollars on the table, was all snatched away, and I was on a flight back home that same night. So I went to a very deep depression, suicidal thoughts. So the birth of my daughter kind of rebirthed me, and gave my life new purpose. So that's where the rebirth comes from. During that time also, Lil Wayne, who was my favorite rapper and a huge inspiration, was crossing over from hip hop to rock. And that's when he named his album Rebirth.
Yes, I remember.
That all kind of like was simultaneously coming together, and it was like, the capital is where we're at. What I'm trying to do now is rebirth this community, give it a new identity, and give the residents here hope. So that's pretty much how Capital Rebirth got started. And our mission is to unify and uplift Central Pennsylvania through positive community events and programs.
I love it. That is a beautiful synopsis of what you have gotten into from high school, coming from Harrisburg. It seems like you really have a passion for the area too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, a lot of my friends are dead. A lot of them are in jail. A lot of them are struggling in life. A lot of them always have. Growing up, I was blessed to, have both parents around. We didn't live in the same house, but they both, supported me. I seen them both the same, so it was never, any indifference. I felt the love and support on both ends. And I was blessed to go to the top-ranked university publicly. A lot of people don't know University of Virginia is the top-ranked public university in the country.
That's amazing. So that's something I didn't know.
Yeah, so when you go from Harrisburg High, which is top 5 worst school districts in the state. Yep. So you can imagine if they were on a national scale, how low we would be. So you go from, that environment to the University of Virginia, it was light years of changing for me. And it really forced me to kind of grow up and be a man. And that's where kind of that seed started to begin being planted as far as what we value in our community. In the Black community, we value Jordans, we value name brand clothes, and we value jewelry and cars. But when I got to school, I had all that. But I'm meeting, other students and learning about, where they come from, their background. And I just got this whole identity that I'm fake. Because I'm pretending like I got something, but these people are wearing next to nothing, don't care about the name. But when you ask them what do they own, or what do their family owns, or what businesses they have, or what are they a part of, what organizations, what groups, how are they contributing to society, they're actually active. And on my flip side, it's the opposite. So, like I said, after my first semester, I got rid of all my Jordans, which I'm mad for now because they all came back out and they were all in great shape. So
the resale value
my God,
would have been amazing.
But I'm just like, I had 20 pairs, at least 20 pair. All of them. But yeah, I think that helped, plant that seed and give me that guidance to understand that, in our community, we need to change. And then that life-changing situation with football happened and everything kind of just came full circle and clicked.
I get you. Yeah, it sort of took a turn and it all sort of encompassed the same goals and missions that you had from the jump and that you were realizing when you were back in high school and you were starting to get away from the Harrisburg area. So tell me how getting to Charlottesville and getting through football, sort of the lessons that it taught you and sort of like the most prominent things that it has brought out of your life?
Most prominent, my best friends.
Yeah.
Came from college right now. Like I said, you just surround so many like-minded individuals. So you don't spend a lot of time talking about who's messing with who or who's caught up in the streets or who. You don't have those conversations. Most of the conversations is how are we going to grow? How can I improve in this area of my life? How can I improve in that? So I would say the friendships and the networking. Like I can literally go to any state in the country and I know somebody. I can pretty much call any position or any profession and I know somebody in those fields. And the key to life, a lot of times people say it's the education. Yes, that is great. But it's also who you know. Because there are plenty of people who have on paper less of a more qualifying resume than the next candidate, but they may actually know that person that's doing the hiring on the inside and they're going to get moved. You know, like I said, with this whole capital Rebirth, I couldn't do this by myself. I had to get out and network and build a team. You know what I mean? And now with our organization, we have to continue to build this network and expand and, you know, try to operate, you know, with other organizations and other individuals who have the same kind of mission and like mindset that we have. So I just think networking and that connection from University of Virginia was key. And then structure. A lot of people, especially in the inner city, we lack structure.
Absolutely.
And that can be our biggest downfall or could be our biggest benefactor. So when you go play football, every minute of your day is pretty much scheduled and planned. It is waking up, you got to work out. Okay, then you got class from 8 to 2. Then you got football meetings from 2 to 4:30. Then you're on the field at 6 to 8. Then from 7:30 to 10:30, you got study hall.
Life of a student athlete is tough.
Absolutely. So even when you text me earlier, you know, I said on time is late.
Yeah.
So seriously. In college, if the meeting started at 3 o'clock and you came at 2:55, the doors was closed.
Damn.
You weren't getting in. You were considered late.
Yeah.
So I always got in that mindset, hey, on time is late. Try to get there 15 minutes early. So, you know, I just think that whole structure, networking, and just getting out and seeing things outside of your own community, seeing things outside of your own race and, you know, habits that you see on a day-to-day basis. You know, yes, you're still going to take some of those that you learned growing up, but now you also have a mix to blend it in and have the right piece.
I get you 100%. It's like you're taking from the diversity and the different cultures, everything that you're learning from a new environment, and it's sort of taking you into different places in your mindset too. I really like that too. So tell me about the Capital Rebirth and some of the events that you guys host. I know you do a free football clinic. You had a superhero anti-bullying day. You guys are very versatile when it comes to the offerings that you have.
Absolutely. Like I said, it is to unify and uplift. So there's no restrictions on unifying people and uplifting them and making them feel good about themselves. So we want to use our platform and ability to perfect these events and programs. Our third anti-bullying day is actually tomorrow, the 25th October. And we're going to cruise through the city, through the COVID restrictions. We usually have, you know, huge inflatable bouncers on the field, on City Island, free food, field day games. We get the superheroes dressed up. We encourage kids to come dress up as superheroes. Like I said, everything is free. But also, what we want to emphasize at all our events is not just a party. You're not just coming to have fun. So when you look around and you see these vendors, some of them are actually going to be services, people who provide these services. So I came to an anti-bullying event. I got information on the hotline. I got information on a group who actually does things more hands-on with, you know, a kid being bullied. Okay, wow, I had mental health counselors here. My kid is dealing with things psychologically. Now we actually have cards, emails, you know, actual physical locations where we can go get these helps. And it's not like I just showed up. And the biggest thing we want to use with that is everybody loves superheroes. It's neutral across the board. I don't care what religion you're into. I don't care what political side you're on. Superheroes is pretty much a staple in any community. So we want to use that face, knowing, you know, the impact that it has, knowing that these kids look up to superheroes and, you know, they kind of listen. Per se, we get that imagination. You know, we always there, especially boys. Seriously. We're flying, jumping off beds and, you know, putting pillow capes and tying around, and we got capes and stuff. Yeah, so we just wanted to use that model and kind of bring awareness to bullying. And like I said, I worked with kids in several different fields. Especially in the psychiatric hospital where these kids are actually like have attempted to commit suicide because of their being bullied online, you know, or because they're being bullied in person. And that's something that bothers me, especially knowing that I have a young daughter growing up in this world who's 8 right now, and Capital Rebirth exists solely because of her. I want to make this world, in this environment, in schools that she's in, you know, a safe place where she don't have to come home crying because someone said something nasty to her, something negative, you know, and just playing with the mind, or any kid for that matter. That's why we are trying to, you know, kind of reestablish things in this community, in the city. So yeah, and then our next biggest one would be our Stop the Violence, Drug Abuse, and Talent Fest, which we had last year at Reservoir Park. I had an array of entertainers from poetry, music. The Cougars cheerleading team came. There were youth step teams coming. We had like a 45-minute fashion show with local designers and models that came, you know, in between the performances and whatnot. We had guest speakers from city council, from state levels, and you know, just kind of get that information that people need. You know, that there are services here. There are different programs that you can get help if you are, you know, abusing drugs or alcohol, you know, or you know, you're around violence and stuff. There's ways you can report or ways that you can handle these type of things. You know, and just being aware of what your triggers are and what your coping skills are in these situations as well. Because I think if you can identify your triggers and you can know the coping skills, you can limit a lot of these negative reactions and just reacting kind of instantly. You can say, hey, once this happens, I know I get upset, I know I get mad. Cool, I don't have to depend on a drink. I don't have to depend on a drug. Maybe art is my therapy. You know, maybe doing a podcast is my therapy. Whatever it is, people need to know what it is and find out, you know, to help themselves out. So
get that outlet.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, the other things we get into is sports. That was my background. So, you know, we hosted powder puff game for women as well, because we don't want to have that disinclusion, you know, in that sport. Or in basketball, we had the girls game too for alumni basketball and football. Along with that, we had youth football camps, cheerleading camps. And like I said, we're trying to expand to after school programs, summer programs. We definitely want to get a team. CFA, please allow us to get a team in. We've been begging for 2.5 years. We need a team in the city. Yeah, so like our football program, I think will be like the best thing that ever can come to the city, and I mean that. Like,
it would be so resourceful. It would be such a great help for these kids.
It's already been wrote up. I have a 10-page proposal where we treat these kids like they're student athletes. They don't pay anything to play, because a lot of these families in the inner city, they have 2-3 kids. You know, they can't pay a couple $100. Then during that time is back to school. It's like, that's a lot. And then they have their rents. You know what I mean? It's a lot you're asking financially when there's money and funding and opportunities where these things can be paid for. Now, on the flip side, you will have to maintain certain average in your grades. You will have to have a great behavior in your community and at home. That's the only way you can pay for it. If those things don't add up, then hey, you'll sit this game. I don't care if you're the star player. That ain't what I believe in, because if you're the star player, guess what? Everybody keeps patting you on the back. You go along the way, but when it's time to sign for a college and high school, you're just going to be, oh yeah, he used to be good. He could have won here. He could have.
You have to be that example, yeah.
Got to hold him accountable, and I blame that on the coaches, because you're letting these players continue to go out there.
Seriously.
So that's, you know, something that I want, you know, to get our sports program launched as well, and develop that whole scholar baller kind of mentality.
I love it. I love it. You're bringing resources to the community. You're bringing unification in many different ways too. So many different platforms that you're connecting to, and sort of the outlets that you're reaching people are not the traditional ways. It's not just, hey, we're going to do a back to school block party, this and that. You're really trying to do very unique and innovative ways to reach people, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You know, nothing wrong with doing the backpack drives, but
I wasn't saying like that.
No, but here's my take on it. That's something that everybody kind of does. Like, I get anti-bullying or superhero days kind of unique. Other people have different unique niches. Stay in your lane for those niches. But things that are like common, like a back to school at Turkey, if there's 15 organizations trying to do a back to school drive, you should have one.
How effective
and it should
will it
be set up across the city. Because here's the thing. Yes, you had a book bag drive two uptown this weekend, 2 on the hill next week. The same people are going to these same events. It's not like you really see different faces at different events. What about these families in these communities who don't drive, who can't say, yo, I can't get uptown, or I can't get to this location on the hill. But if all of us can come together and do it citywide, we can cover, it's 5 zones in our city, right? A lot of people may not know that, which is broken down to 5 zones. You can literally have 2 to 3 organizations set up in each zone, taking care of the community in one big day. It ain't about, oh, look what my organization did, look what we did. No, we did what we supposed to do. Give these kids book bags and supplies to go back to school.
Seriously.
That shouldn't need one of these.
No. And it sort of seems like everybody's looking for that congratulations, that pat on the back, and you're really just doing it off the strength, just really trying to get back to these kids.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, yes, my face is, on the tube that you see and in the newspaper you see, but trust me, this isn't what I want. But I understand I have to be who I am to get some of these doors open for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want none of this attention. I don't want no credit. And this isn't something, oh, Mikell, you're speaking right now. Yeah. Check when I played college football, when I could have really used the media at my disposal. I ran from the media. If they didn't catch me at my locker room, you wouldn't get me coming into that press room. I didn't care about attention. Like, I'd rather just go about my day. I never see myself as a special person. This is something that I did great at part of my life. But what about these scientists or these doctors or whatever? We're not highlighting them, putting them on, national TV every week. So I never viewed myself just because I played football as I'm special. Even when I came back, we would go to the clubs downtown and stuff. Yes, I could have cut the line, went up front. Everybody had no problem. Cool, blah, blah, blah. No, Mikell went straight to the back of the line, and I'm a normal person. Now, when I went out of town, I was a different person. But my hometown, no, I can never feel that type of way. So it ain't about the accolades and being on front of the camera. For me, it's just I need to do what I got to do to get done, and hopefully I can fall back. Yeah,
you're gonna put the work in, and you're gonna be the face for a while, but you want it to just do itself. You know what I'm saying? You want the work to speak for itself. You want the things, the events that you're putting on, the impact that you're having to speak for itself.
Absolutely, and like I said, even what I bring it up, the complex.
I was going to bring it up. Yes. Talk to us a little bit about the future of William Penn High School.
Yeah, so that complex, a lot of people may be looking, well, I don't want to benefit, and this is our mindset. I don't want to benefit because it's going to help Mikell, or it's going to put Mikell on another level. It's going to help Capital Rebirth on another level. Here's what I want you to know. We're not going to own or operate, we're not going to operate or provide any type of businesses or services within the complex. Simply what we are doing is being owners of a complex that will allow other organizations, businesses to have a facility to operate out of. Example, there are a lot of nonprofits, a lot of organizations who want to run after school programs, some programs via us too, right? Other kids want to get into STEMs and carpentry and, electric, but our programs that are kind of run right now is through the YMCAs, the boys clubs, and the school districts, and they're not pretty much covering those areas, right? So now fast forward to if we get this William Penn complex with the diversity of having 50 college-style lecture classrooms, 25 trade school classrooms, agriculture area, swimming pool area, sensory-based gym for kids and adults, 4 basketball and volleyball courts, a boxing gym area, a fitness gym area, a food court area. All of these will pretty much be mom and pops of Harrisburg. So you can have 15 different organizations running after school program, everybody benefiting, everybody getting money with it, everybody wants to be into. You'll get money. And guess what? Capital Rebirth won't be a part of it.
Hands off.
Because we don't want, I'm not an expert in everything. I don't want to pretend to be. But if I can have this facility and allow these experts or these people who are pursuing to be experts and who are great in this field and naturally already have something developed, why would I try to step on your toes? I'm going to give you that chance. Like for the past 4 weeks, we've done a kickball drive at 7th and Radnor. The collections was canned goods to help feed the homeless, but backpacks and care items to help give back to the homeless, and a coat and book bag drive. So yes, Capital Rebirth put it together, I put it together, but I could easily say, hey, I'm going to start these drives, and Capital Rebirth is going to start these drives and collect these stuff and give. No, Ralph Rodriguez had a clothing drive already. Why would I step on his toes? No, I'm going to set it up for an event. You come collect this stuff and you take this to your drive. Friends in Midtown, you were collecting canned goods at the time. I'll help, but this is going to you. I don't want no credit. You don't have to mention me. The girl Morgan, she is doing the backpacks to help the homeless with the care products. I'm not attached to that. My name's not going to be on it. I don't want no credit, but I can run these kickball events and get you some book bags and some items to give.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about being that person in the front line.
In the forefront, yeah. And that's not everybody's mindset, though, too. They want to be that recognition. They want to get that spotlight. And it kind of detracts from the mission, too. It really detracts from the actual impact as well, too, the success of what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. And to me, those people are money hungry.
Mm.
I just be honest, like, it's funny, a lot of rumors are going around that Capital Rebirth has a lot of money. We're getting this and that, and we're part of some secret society or high-powered group. Here's the thing. We've been operating for 2.5 years, right? And this is real. You can check our books. We have contributions from the Sean McCoy's group, which was $1,000 and paid for the inflatable houses in one event. So that wiped that money out right there. Mm-hmm. The next event we had, next donation we had sponsorship was from the county commissioners, which was $500. That's one entity at one event covering food. Mm-hmm. So that money's going, right?
Yep.
And now we're operating all these events, close to 20 events over 2 years, on a $2,500 budget. So you tell me, do you think we coming out of our pockets? Yes, for every event. So Capital Rebirth, we don't make a penny off of this. This is all volunteer, and this is all of us coming out of our pockets. I've said this from the beginning, and I'll continue to say this, and I always say this to my team. We don't focus on the money. We focus on the mission and what we actually stand for and what we're trying to accomplish. Naturally, if you are doing that, money's naturally going to come, so why are you worried about it? Mm-hmm. But if you're worried about money, you're going to somehow miss small details that's going to help your business be that much successful, or you may have missed the detail that a customer needs and wants to keep continuing to support your business, but because you're so worried about other things, you miss that. Focus on the product, money comes.
I love it. He's teaching y'all right now, seriously. This is impactful thinking right now, seriously. So tell me a little bit about your opinion of the Harrisburg area, the future of it, sort of like when it comes to culture, business, community development, all of that encompassing our culture as a Harrisburg area.
I think with the birth of technology, the birth of social networks, it's waking everybody up, or the ones that want to be woke. I am seeing a lot more people active. I am seeing a lot more entrepreneurship in our community. I am seeing a lot more people supporting. I've seen these pop-up shops for the past 2 months in our city, and they're all 30, 40, 50, 60 vendors deep. There's no negativity with them. There's no drama. There's no fight. It's not the typical, it's going to be a negative event or something's going to happen or somebody's going to get shot. At these events, they have been peaceful. So I don't know if it was a George Floyd situation or whether it was this Trump situation, or directly, if you pay attention to our local politics, Scott Perry, who's the Congress running, those type of remarks, something is just waking people up. And it's making them become more educated, as being myself. A couple years ago, I wasn't really into politics. I'll be honest. This is my first time voting. I'll be honest. This is my first time voting. The Obama elections, first one I was in college, tunnel vision on football.
Absolutely.
2012, I didn't really care to vote because I seen what a good job he was doing. I didn't see no hiccups coming, so it was like he's coasting this one. And the first one was 2004. I was senior in high school. I definitely wasn't paying attention to politics back then.
Didn't have the means to even know what was going on.
Fast forward 2016. Now these elections have turned to kind of promoting hatred and disrespect. Usually it was kind of these presidents or these elected officials would come in, here's what I want to do, here's how I can change, here's what I stand for. Now it's, this person over here does this, and this person, shut up, and you disrespect, I don't care about women. And it's like... It's
morality in play now.
Oh my God, it's like the character. And then a lot of people don't know, University of Virginia I attended, in 2016 is when the KKK marched on our grounds. Early in his presidency,
Charlottesville riot.
Charlottesville, absolutely. Person ended up dying.
Were you there at that time?
No, I was 09 graduate. If I was there, thank God I wasn't there because it wouldn't have went down peaceful. I'll tell you that. But yeah, we had some different football players back then. Mindset different.
I get you.
But when you think of that, early in his presidency, he had a chance to take a stand against racial injustice, and identify the KKK members as who they are. But he said there were good guys on both sides. How is good when you know the history of this group, you know their intentions, you know what they stand for. They were there because of removal of a statue of a slave owner. Nothing about that says peaceful or a good guy.
No.
Then you have the other side who is peaceful, who's not doing anything, who is basically concerned citizens out kind of voicing their opinion, showing unity, staying together, who has no history of this KKK brand. So how do you say both sides are good people?
Yeah.
And a guy drove from Ohio down there to be a part of these KKK and ended up killing a woman speeding down the alley. But that is good to me. So that really woke me up more to following politics, to get more involved, to becoming an active voter, to becoming a person who holds registration voter events, who has been on different types of platforms with seminars and these type of things, educating people because I'm educating myself. And like I said, one thing I do want people to know, and I don't want to talk heavy politics, but a lot of people say Obama didn't do nothing for us, right? Okay. Well, here's the thing. If we don't go back in 2 years after this election in 2022, when all 435 seats in the House and vote, it don't matter who's sitting at that president, because Trump can win again. But if we go ahead in 2022 and win the House, guess who he has to answer to? But even if Biden wins, but we still leave the House open to Trump's people, you're going to say the same thing about Biden. He can have the best agenda for minorities or white people, no matter just humans, but it's all going to get shut down because Trump's people are going to be in those 435 seats. So
has to go through that second process, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too heavy into politics, but yeah.
But sort of that, it's a good transition into how activism is now a part of your brand and part of your personal mission as well. So tell me a little bit about how you got into organizing marches and being a part of police reform and Black Lives Matter and all of the things that encompasses protesting in this area.
So, like I said, I want to keep the difference. Capital Rebirth has a different mission. Mikell Simpson is the founder of Capital Rebirth, but Mikell Simpson is stepping on his attitudes. You don't see the Capital Rebirth team. So I don't want people to get this misconstrued.
My apologies. Yeah.
No, but
it's a good thing to understand and to clarify.
I talk to different people in the media, and they have labeled my group as Black Lives Matter group, and it's no, we have different missions.
Understood.
Yes, we 100% support the movement. We would never go against the movement. Absolutely not. But like I said, Capital Rebirth is completely different. Unifying, Uplifting Central Pennsylvania versus just the founder of who I am. I'm stepping on and I'm supporting. And like I said, that whole 2016 with Trump not announcing, the KKK woke me up. And now, not 2016, 17, 18, it was kind of stale for me. I was just kind of using that time to educate myself. But now, with this being the election year, that's when I started to become more active because at the end of the day, who cares about the election 2-3 years away? You want to know that year or leading up, couple months out, couple weeks leading up. That's when you want all your information to go out. And also that information is fresh in people's memories when they're actually going to these voting polls or, mailing their votings in. So, yeah.
The information is definitely more, I'd say, pertinent at that point too. It's much more, like in your face, like, hey, we need to take action at this moment versus, we can worry about it in 2 years, or we did that last year, and we worried about it at some other point. So
yeah, and one thing about the voting, I use this example now too. A lot of minorities, especially blacks in the inner city, we are used to elected officials coming in, making promises, saying they'll do this, saying they'll do that, right? But then we don't actually go out and vote, or we don't really care about the actual following up process. And we always say, well, our vote don't matter. It don't matter. They don't care about us. They're doing whatever the case. But take this example. If there are 20 people who can cast a vote, right? 10 are white, 10 are black. Out of 10 of the blacks say, hey, only 3 of us is voting because we just don't believe this system is corrupt. Now, these 10 white people, they say, hey, 7 of us is voting, 3, we just don't care about it. Now it's 7-3 in favor. So it's always going to look like it's in favor of something we don't want, whether it's we're dealing with white, Chinese, it don't matter, our own kind. If we don't actually get out and vote, I don't care what you're trying to do, it's always going to look like it's not playing in our favor. And that's been a big thing with the black community is we put so much emphasis on our votes don't matter. Yes, they don't matter when you're not voting.
Seriously, it's a very basic, simple fact, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, if you don't believe in the government, you don't believe in it, okay, just cast this vote. It's not going to cost you $1. It's not going to, diminish your reputation. It's not going to make you lose a job. You're not going to get kicked out of your house. So what's the worst that can happen?
Seriously. Yeah.
Just
that your opinion matters. Yeah.
And you don't even have to put it publicly.
No, you're
Some
exactly
people
right.
don't even mention politics at all.
No.
Won't even tell you who they're voting for, put no signs in their yard. Hey, they just go in, mail it, or go to the ballot. You don't know nothing. You don't have to be vocal.
No,
I'm taking
exactly.
the vocal route because of the image that I have and the influence that I can have. And I want these younger people to understand the importance of getting active and voting. Like, I seriously think Harrisburg High should be the trendsetters and start taking field trips on election day, taking the students that are 18 and taking them down there and actually voting. Or, if they want to take the mail-in vote, make sure they're actually registered online to vote. Okay, now have, a 6 to 8 p.m. class, once a month leading up to the election, where we're breaking down, the president's level, we're breaking down the vice president's level, all the way down to your city council, to your mayor. Let these kids actually have a vote, because they're the future. So if they can start speaking at 18, some of this stuff can get changed earlier, because, like I said, most people don't start voting till their 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And it sort of takes that approach of, we have to get these kids active at a very young age. I remember my my 12th grade teacher in Steel High all registered us to vote, every single person in the
and that
grade.
should be done.
And I thought that was the most impactful thing, because he didn't care who you were voting for.
Yeah.
He didn't care what you registered, Democrat, Republican, Independent. He wanted you to make sure that on November 3rd, you were able to go to a poll and vote who you wanted to. And he gave you the information too. You're not just going to go out and not do your research and just go vote for, this is a blue, red, this is who my mom's voting for. No, you have the research with yourself and give you that
Absolutely.
those resources to do it yourself. So
Absolutely. No, I think that was dope. I think every school should do
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Educate them.
And that wasn't a part of the curriculum either. That was just
Yeah.
him going, hey, I think this is personally what needs to happen.
Yeah, like I said, and you run a program like that, or a school district. No, you don't have to know the kids' business, what side they're on, Republican, Democrat. You don't need to know none of that. You just need to educate these people on how to voice their opinion and how to actually research and understand what these people are trying to do and what positions they actually hold. Because that's another thing in our community. We'll get mad at an elected official and, throw a tantrum. But then when we go find out, hey, that elected official that you think can solve this issue actually doesn't have nothing to do with this issue. It's somebody else over here that you need to be redirected to. So, we have to understand, too, what these people's positions entail.
Their
And not just,
responsibilities.
we'll look at the mayor and blame literally everything on the mayor. And it's like,
He has no control over
sometimes
that.
it's not him. I'm not advocating for the mayor or not right now. I'm just saying I have to do with that, but I'm just giving an example. Sometimes we just educate ourselves on who has the power and what kind of underlines under their power.
I get you. So that's a sort of a good transition into, tell me how you would inspire the youth, whether it's in Harrisburg, whether it's in urbanized cities across the country. Tell me what you would tell a kid that was in your position, or what you wish that some advice you would give to yourself back in the day.
Same advice I give to every kid I come across. Put sports 4, 5, and 6 as your career, and make 1, 2, 3 something that is legitly attainable. A lot of times people don't even have a chance at even making it to college or professional. Sometimes not even playing high school. At birth, you don't control how big your parents are. You don't control whether you get this DNA that's going to make you fast or make your reaction time, very fast. You don't control some of that. You know what I mean? That's just genetics at birth. So a lot of times people's chances are cut before they're even introduced to the world, but they'll spend 12, 13, 14 years investing everything that they have in life and want to get out of life into this one product, and you just never had a chance. And nobody's going to be honest with you, because yes, that's hurting kids' feelings, but sometimes it's different ways that you can tell these kids. But like I said, I'd rather just tell them 4, 5, and 6. Like I said, if I wanted to be in media, I wanted to be a veterinarian, I wanted to help kids, be a psychologist, whatever the case, the only thing that would stop you from achieving any other of these careers is yourself. If you want, like I said, if you want to be anything, especially in today's world, you have cell phones. Back then, when I was coming up, if I wanted to know something, if it started with E, I had to go to the E-encyclopedia, flip all these pages, and actually read it. Now,
that Dewey Decimal System. Seriously.
I remember them books.
I'm telling you.
I hate it, especially when your teacher give you that Monday morning spelling list. Go write a sentence for every word, define every word. I'm like, come on, this is 2 hours a day just looking up words. No, but it's like they can have all this information that, instantly. Even if, they are struggling to have some type of learning disability where they can't read or dyslexic, they have audios and videos for a lot of this information that they can get and,
at the tip of their fingers.
Oh my God, this should be the smartest generation of all.
You're right.
Like if I had some of this stuff back in the day, it'd be amazing. But the other thing is too, I blame a lot of these issues that these youth are dealing with today on myself and the rest of us old heads and the rest of these people who sit in positions with facilities. When I say that is, we continue to put the storyline where, oh, that person's parents or their household is messed up and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So that's why they're going to fail. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're in jail, blah, blah, blah. How many times are we going to continue to use that excuse? It's like, okay, if we are aware of that as leaders, activists, people who care about the community, regular citizens who care about the community, why aren't we coming up with different avenues for these kids? Example, if you do not play sports, music, or sell drugs, who pays you any attention? Who supports you? Who even really speaks to you or considers you popular or gives you love and affection? Nobody. So what happens is that 10, 11, 12-year-old kid now who wanted to be a scientist, who wanted to be a judge, who wanted to be a policeman, they see they have never been exposed to that field. They have no experience. They don't know anybody who works in that field. They don't see a neighbor down the street. They don't see a relative in the family in that field. So now I'm 12, 13. I'm going to now throw all of my passion away and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start selling drugs or playing sports or making music, stuff that isn't my identity, but because that's what gets the attention. That's where all of the outlets are pretty much existing. So like I said,
got to change that narrative.
Right. It's like these community centers, why aren't y'all introducing kids at the age of 4 and 5 to STEM? Why aren't you teaching these kids culinary at 7, 8, 9 years old? No, they don't have to go to the stove and actually turn fires on, but you can start introducing them to foods, the food pyramid, what seasonings are. Hey, if you're cooking this is a healthier choice versus this is stuff that these kids can start to grasp at these early ages that we just don't give them that exposure experience. So I blame myself and the rest of these old heads.
I get you. So, what is one event or one thing that you have not gotten to do yet with Capital Rebirth that you really are looking forward to or want to explain to us that you have planned, something we can look forward to?
Without being giving it up, because like I said, I like to do unique things. But next summer we are trying to put together a event. I don't want to say too much, but it has potential to be amazing. It's going to follow along the lines of superheroes, but more so the lines of our actual superheroes, our city cops, our city elected officials, our teachers, just normal citizens in our community. So we're trying to put something together right there. It's going to be a fundraiser. And what we would like to do with the fundraiser is pay for the whole scholarship program and launch our sports programs, our basketball, our soccer, football, our track, and get these kids traveling. We want to start taking these kids on college tours.
I love it.
So that's one of our big, and it's going to be pretty much a 3-day weekend type of Capital Rebirth takes over Harrisburg for a 3-day weekend.
Nice.
And I'm trying to reach out to, some of my people that I know and see if they can get on board. But I'm very excited. This is something that we actually been planning for about 2 years now.
Nice.
We wanted to do it this year, but COVID just kind of destroyed everything. So hopefully next year it all works out for this 3-day weekend. And if it goes well, let's just say tourism will be up that weekend in Harrisburg.
Nice. I love it.
Tourism will be up.
I love it. I can't wait to see what you guys have going on, seriously. Talk to me a little bit about your ultimate goals, whether it's personally with your nonprofit, whether it is just something that you want to see in the area, just sort of your ultimate goals with what you're doing here.
So my personal goal will probably remain the same until I see no poverty in my city. So my goal every day I wake up is literally thinking of solutions that I can provide or partner up with somebody in somehow form a way of fixing these problems that exist in our community. I know that crime and drugs is high. I know, their homelessness is high. I know the poverty rate's high. I know, the drug abuse and alcohol abuse is high in our community. I know the domestic violence is huge in our community. But I think if we can continue to give this exposure, this opportunity, and this education, I honestly think, in the next 15, 20 years, we can get to this point where, Harrisburg, every city street is peaceful. The infrastructure is up to date. These landlords aren't just coming in here renting houses out and not fixing them up per se, just coming in making money. I believe our school district will be at a point where it will financially be great, which will fix a lot of these education weaknesses and gaps that we are struggling with right now. I think if we continue to kind of build this Votech Center kind of William Penn trade up and support that, I think that's the first step in realistic change in this city. And with that being said, there are currently 200 students at Harrisburg School District that attend DC Tech, which is a Central Dauphin-based school district, which if you talk to some of these students, they don't necessarily have the best experience. Central Dauphin, call a spade, is a known racially area. So sending minorities into that environment isn't necessarily productive for their mind to be focusing on education when I'm having to worry about this person is trying to set me up or do something or calling me these names.
Staring at me all day.
Absolutely, thinking I'm some type of threat and I'm just here to get an education. So it's just uncomfortable in the setting. So like I said, with that move, if Harrisburg can agree and they will move into the William Penn complex and operate as a school again with 75 classrooms at 25 enrollment, that's 1,800 total enrollment, right? So if Harrisburg says, hey, we're going to split it, we're going to take 900 in-house, which is an additional 700 that you're getting right now, and now you're not spending that $20 million, which you would have cost you to go to DC Tech if you were able to get 900 enrollments in there, right? So now you bring the 900 and source them from other school districts whose kids can't get in there. And every school district is the same way as Harrisburg. Like Susquehanna can only get a certain amount in there. Still High, it just works because enrollment numbers, right? So now Harrisburg is playing this game where they're insourcing 900 students, which is $20 million at least. The school district has never been in a position where they can say, I have $20 million coming from one move, not including everything else moving in your school district. Now we look at Spooky Nook's numbers, okay? Spooky Nook is something similar, but main difference is we are going to provide education.
They have no educational resources there.
Now
all athletic,
But when we look at athletic in sports and entertainment, here's where we crush Spooky Nook. We will have an indoor stadium that sits 20,000 people. The only indoor stadium in the whole Northeast region. You can go to New York, you can go to New Jersey, Delaware, Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio. I don't care where you're going, you're not getting it. So what does that mean? We can operate 365. We don't have to worry about, our 4 seasons affecting us. Also, what does that mean? Our residency population is only 49,000. So with that stadium holding that amount in seating and then the field open and then the complex next to it, we could potentially house all 49,000 residents if there was some type of disaster or pandemic like we're facing right now. This stadium can absolutely hold a ton of equipment, workers. It doesn't matter. We can customize to what the situation is. And like I said, so you can now have your major entertainment events coming in here. You wouldn't have to go to Philly, New York. You won't have to go to
Giant
DC.
Center.
Giant Center will work because here's the trade-off.
The difference.
They operate basketball. We will have the football and soccer style, pretty much. So it's
true. Okay.
And with the benefit with Hershey
sort of like that indoor farm show sort of style. Like I get you.
So the benefit is when these people do come to these major events that we host in the city, you don't think we're going to advertise Hershey's 20 minutes away. So now you're coming to central Pennsylvania and all of us is eating for a weekend off of tourism. It's not about me. Once again, I understand Hershey is down the street. I understand Susquehanna sits right there. I understand Stilton needs help and is right there. This is to develop everybody. Like example, a lot of people in Stilton drive to Spooky Nook to play in their basketball league 2-3 times a week. Why are you taking this 45-minute drive?
Seriously.
So when we look at Spooky Nook's numbers, which I was going back to, last year they employed 1,300 people between part-time, full-time, and internship.
Wow.
Right? They made Lancaster $98 million in taxes. Right?
The county.
Yeah, the county.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they also had 1 million visitors in 7 months. Now let's just scale it back and say Harrisburg, we did 25%. That's 25 million for this city they've never seen.
Just coming in for this specific attraction.
Absolutely. And people talk about parking. Okay, well, here's how you solve parking. You have the Zimbo, who has 2 parking lots, sits right there. You have the Scottish Rite that sits right next to that, who has 2 parking lots. You have the PPI Hospital, who sits right there with 2 parking lots and a garage. Also, when we have to get everything else outside, there's partnerships with transportation companies that can develop where we can park people over in Hack area or the Forum Show or downtown in the parking garage, and you'll be shuttled in less than 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes walking from anybody parking. Now, a lot of people don't know, if you go to a stadium, the parking on site is only 10% of the capacity. You ever been to an Eagles game, you're walking 45 minutes an hour. You ever been to a Penn State game, that's 2 hours. Like, you're walking, but now you are literally going to be within 10 minutes of walking and driving, and you won't even notice people in the city. And the city has actually been trying to get a bridge funded through PennDOT where it will connect 7th Street over to the Hack area. So now we have these major events. People are literally only on Division Street, getting on the Cameron Street over the highway, and they're going. You won't even notice them on residential streeting. Wow.
That's very interesting. The dynamic and how that could potentially be set up.
Absolutely. So like I said, I've been working this project for 7 years. And, you know, it's at that point where we kind of went public with it and we're comfortable. Put our LOI in. So we're at that point. But yeah, like this has been developed. I've been paying attention to the city moves. I am very aware that, you know, 2nd Street is getting ready to be converted to a 2-way street with bike lanes. I'm aware that 6th Street is getting bike lanes. I'm aware that they're about to put a roundabout on 7th and Division. I'm aware that 1,000 state employees are now going to be working in a new building on 7th and Division. I'm aware of all that. So when you
this is news to me.
Yeah, so when you think of these type of projects, you have to know what's going on. Like, you got to do your homework. Like, I have thousands and thousands upon research papers kind of backing everything that I'm trying to do. And I've looked at everything from the trafficking, you know, to everything you can think of. And this also helps our local artists. Like I said, music is big here in our culture. I understand that, right? So
it's only getting bigger too.
Absolutely, but where's your platform? Nothing exists here in the city of Harrisburg or Central Pennsylvania, but that can change overnight with this complex. So now, if Drake comes here and, you know, leading up to it, he has a contest, the hottest rapper, you know, you can open up for me today.
That's tough.
Do you know how crazy that is? Now people are actually giving a chance. On top of that, with celebrities coming into our city, you know, on every weekend, every 2 weekends, whatever the case may be, now we become that Power 99, that New York radio station, because we have people, yo, when I'm in Harrisburg, I listen to blah, blah, blah. So that's a chance for an entrepreneur in our community to start to develop. Because if this complex goes through, it's going to be there. It's going to be a great outlet. It's something that we need. It's something that our artists and the industry needs for our people to have that chance to actually blow.
My ideas are kind of racing right now too. I ain't gonna.
But this ain't for me. Like I said, this complex is for everybody else to benefit. It's not for Capital Rebirth. It's not for Mikell Simpson. It's not for nobody on my team. This is for everybody to have a facility to go and operate. Because when we go to facilities, I know the hoops and hurdles and everything that we have to go through. Some of this stuff is unnecessary. And when you want to be real, we are a team of black individuals. We would be the only black owners of a stadium in a multi-purpose complex in the United States of America, and we were all young.
That is amazing. Right there should be a selling point enough, honestly.
And it's like I said, don't support Mikell, don't support Capital Rebirth on this project. Support what it's going to do for your kid. Support what it's going to do for your brother or your cousin or family member who has been struggling to get a job because they have a record and nobody will give them a chance. Now, when they go to CareerLink, we can bring CareerLink in on top of them helping you fill out a resume and get your application. Hey, you can come to our Votech section. You in the carpentry? Okay, you're in the plumbing? Okay, take a couple of these classes here, get your certification. Now we put that on your resume. Now when those employees read it, oh, he actually has experience. Oh, he's got a certification.
Wow.
We can hire him.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't for us. What about those kids or adults who are on the spectrum of autism?
Mm-hmm.
Where is their outlet?
Yeah.
Where are they sensory-based gyms or, areas that they can go have
Avenues
fun?
for them to create, relax, pretty much innovate.
We don't have that for them. And like I said, I worked with these individuals for years. They are awesome. Like a lot of people give this bad label or don't kind of want to deal with people. Yes, they have problems, but so do us. Us normal people, we throw tantrums just like they do. But what I learned about them, they are geniuses, but only in a few or one area. Like if they're into trains, they would know every single thing about a train, how the tracks work, how everything is built, how it operates, every single thing to a detail. These are some of the smartest individuals in the world. And if you look at some of these major companies, they're starting to hire these people who are on the spectrum because they know the ability that they have to lock in and focus and become experts on one individual topic or thing. So they need something, you know what I mean? So this isn't for us at all. What about, that mom and pop restaurant? Like you had House of Vegan on here. I just told him the other day.
Shout out House of Vegans,
absolutely, man. Go check them out.
Shout out Stefan, shout out Laquana, straight up.
We'll be linking up with them soon, so be on the lookout. But I give this example. What if, Justin Bieber comes and does a concert and he eats at our food court on site, which are all mom and pop. House of Vegan was dope. Oh, yo, when y'all in Harrisburg, make sure y'all go check out House. Do you know how much publicity he gets now? How much free marketing? Now you may see House of Vegan popping up in Los Angeles. You may see it popping up in LA, some of these bigger cities that these celebrities are intertwining with simply because I took that photo or I took that video. Like I want everybody to be able to have an opportunity to benefit and get their maximum exposure. It ain't about me. If I can be that, if y'all want to call it vehicle to bring in this, call me that, cool, but that's not the title I want.
You're going to be a catalyst. That's what it's going to be.
I don't want no title. Like, that's my thing. Like, I don't want no credit for this. I just want people to realize this is a chance for everybody in the central Pennsylvania, especially Harrisburg area, to win.
I love it.
I don't want to, like, if I can move myself from all of this and not speak a word public, everything's behind closed doors, and you can just be involved, I would love that. But obviously, that's not the way things work in society. You have to be a face.
We're going to get to that point, though.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the point where you're letting the work do itself. You know what I mean? You're letting your employees, you're letting the people that are a part of it, you're letting the mission speak for itself.
Absolutely. Because, like I said, our city is full of poverty, and without jobs and education, you can't combat that. I don't care. Like a lot of these individuals who are committing these crimes in the streets because they can't find employment. Like I said, when we lost our Votech section 10 years ago, we lost a lot of hands-on. A lot of these people don't even realize, a lot of these drug dealers, they're great with numbers and they're great with hands. And they're great with electric. But they're not giving these opportunities to get these certifications and trainings or actually go to a Votech school anymore so they can come out, into the real world and be productive citizens. They lost that opportunity. So they go use what they do best, their hands in math, and they go into the streets and develop a whole new identity that's not good. But like I said, I blame us, myself, and the rest of these old heads who has dropped the ball somewhere along the lines that these kids are missing these opportunities now. So like I said, when we talk about construction, a lot of issues have come arise with minorities not being in on constructions via the courthouse uptown, a lot of these other big projects, right? We lost our Votech. It goes back to it. We don't have these trainings, so people can't be like, hey, I want to be a part of this, or I want to get on this contract when you don't have the training
don't have the skills, at
all. So
never had the resources to get the skills or build those skills.
So we're missing. So, hopefully this project, we can get a lot of minorities on this project and actually getting hands-on experience. So now, with a mega complex like this under your belt and your resume, I don't care where you walk in, they're going to respect you. No matter if the record says, hey, 10 years ago, he was a demon, but he's worked and got himself rehabilitated, and he actually just helped redo this Capital Rebirth project, and you can go look how magnificent it is. You can see how much it benefits the community, how much it benefits people in this community, how much it made for, the economy, tourism, whatnot. And that person was a part of actually building. Yes, we want him a part of our next construction site because it's the biggest like we went to the architects who developed 1500 CAF and the Jacksonville apartment. When we went to them with this project, they pretty much said, this is too big, you can't handle it.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. So if somebody gets this type of
Wow.
experience on this project, they're going to go get any type of construction job. They're going to get brought in on these contracts because people know the experience that they have working with something mega like this.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, that's kind of it. We can talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah,
This is my lane.
Yeah, I love it. I love
This is
it.
my lane.
So yeah, give the people one message that you know what I'm saying. Give the people what they need to know. Tell them one thing about Mikell Simpson that every person that's watching needs to know.
That you can do anything in life. Like I said, I grew up my first 8 years in the projects. I flunked first grade. Statistically, if you look at that type of setup, you know, all my friends were into the streets. Even in high school, I had about 8-9 guys get arrested for robberies and every like type. As soon as football season ended, you know,
Something was gonna
I
happen.
lost all my friends pretty much immediately. Like I said, same day I signed a contract, NFL, I lost it. So you can overcome anything, you know, as long as you continue to look at some type of positivity in every negative. You can't sit here and negatively look at everything that way. So a book that I read is called The Four Agreements. I encourage anybody to read it.
Great book.
When I was going through, you know, those dark times, that book kind of helped me bring myself back a little bit, give myself a lot of those courage. Because here's the thing, if I say, yo, you're dumb, you can't be nothing in life, right? I said it one time, but you'll take that home and keep replaying that hit over and over. So who is really beating yourself up more? Am I really the abuser or you self-abuser?
True.
So that, you know, that can kill a lot of our confidence. So, you know, I relate to this story a lot of people, and I'll end on this because this is a lot of the development. Batman. It's not for the cartoon's sake. It's not for that at all. So he went through a traumatic experience when he lost his parents when he was a kid. So he kind of redid his life pretty much, and he set out to make sure something like that never happens again to anybody's parents. And he wanted to make his city great, peaceful, and give hope, because that's what the Batman symbol, give hope to his city. Okay, so now fast forward me. My parents didn't die, yes, but to me, I died when that contract was terminated. That $1 million was terminated. That running through an NFL tunnel was terminated. So that redid my whole life and rebirthed my life. And now I want to make sure that everybody in this city, from youth to adults to the elderly, maximize their potential in life and they live comfortable.
Love it.
So that's pretty much my spiel, and that's what I'm going to keep going for.
I love it, man. So tell the people where they need to find you. Plug in who you got to plug. Shout out who you got to shout out. Tell the people what they need to know.
You can find me on my personal pages, Facebook, Mikell Simpson. My Instagrams, I think it's just Mikell Simpson. Our Capital Rebirth, www.capitalrebirth.com. Our Facebook is Capital Rebirth. Instagram, Capital Rebirth 717. I just give a shout out to everybody that's ever crossed my path in life. Whether it was a good encounter or a negative encounter, I thank you because you made me who I am today. So I just shout everybody, you know.
Yes, I love it. This has been Live from the Gazebo, your host, Tyler Voppel. This has been Mikell Simpson. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you for being here, Mikell. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, y'all. Y'all can be great.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Gazebo, 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 gazebo.